reason. With all power in your hands, you have given me a second chance. Hallelujah, hallelujah, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm not going back, moving ahead, here to declare to you, my past is over in you. Things are made new, surrendered my life to Christ. I'm moving, I'm not going back, I'm moving ahead, here to declare to you, the past is over in you. Things are made new, surrender my life to Christ. Moving, moving forward. I'm moving What a moment you have brought me through. Such a freedom, Lord, I found in you. You're the healer who makes all things new. Yeah, 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 oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm not going back, I'm moving ahead, here to declare to you, my past is over in you. Things are made new, surrendered my life to Christ. I'm moving, I'm not going back, I'm moving ahead, here to declare to you, my past is over in you. Things are made new, surrender my life to Christ. Moving, moving forward. I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are God and God alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just want to say that I love you more than anything. I lift my hands. I lift my hands in total adoration to you. You reign on the throne, for you are God and God alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just want to say that I love you more than anything. One more time. I lift my hands, oh God. I lift my hands in total adoration to you. You reign on the throne, for you are God and God alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song. I just want to say that I love you more than anything. Hold me in your arms. You are the shelter from the storm. When all my friends are gone, you are right there all alone. I never knew a love like this before. Oh, I just want to say that I love you more than anything. I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything. Oh, I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you. To tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we warmly welcome you to Trinity House. We do apologize for starting slightly, well, not slightly, behind schedule. So may I please request that we take our seats so that we can start the program. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to celebrate our own. We're here to celebrate a great man of God, We're here to celebrate a nationalist, a unifier. I think this is the time you should be putting your hands together as I'm hailing this young gentleman. We truly, truly thank God for his life. So today, as part of the series of events to mark his 62nd year, through God's grace and mercies, today, Triumph Foundation is celebrating him in a very unique way. For those that know Pastor very well, know his commitment to this nation.
We may be seated. Thank you very much. A resounding round of applause for ourselves, please. Nigeria will be great again. Nobody said amen. Nigeria will be great again. You know, some of us were lost in wonder. A round of applause for the best church in Lagos. A round of applause for the Kingdom Choir, the best Kingdom Choir. Thank you very much. Trinity Choir. Would like to invite right about now Pastor Mrs. Esther Dogoyaro, all the way from Jos. She is a senior pastor, the House of Excellence Church, Jos. Pastor Mrs. Esther Dogoyaro, please. Senior pastor, House of Excellence Church, Jos, for the opening prayer. This way, ma'am. A round of applause, please.
Let us pray. In the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Father, we thank you for gathering everyone safely to this occasion to celebrate the 62nd birthday of your servant, Pastor Ituah, even at such a time as this in the history of this nation. Father, we celebrate his life because of the very wonderful Father, we commit this occasion before you. We submit to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Even as we begin this event, we declare from the beginning, even to the end, that your name will be glorified. So, Father, we declare this meeting opened in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ma. A round of applause for Pastor Mrs. Esther Dogoyaro, Senior Pastor, House of Excellence Church, Jos. Once again, we'd like to welcome everyone here. I would like to invite to the podium at the moment Jeremiah Olanrewaju Akinshele.
I want to just welcome us this morning to this great event. And I would like to appreciate all our guests that are here. I don't have the list. I will have mentioned the names one after the other. And I would like to appreciate and congratulate our pastor, the man we are celebrating today. And I want us to clap for him for being a man to follow, a great man of God, a leader by excellence, and a man that loves God, and a man that excelled in his career. And I want us to appreciate God for his life. Pastor Ituah is a man of many parts. This makes it difficult to address him from only one standpoint. However, one thing is certain, that we are all drawn to this great man, so that we are gathered here to celebrate his positive uniqueness, personality in every sense of the word. Giving this amazing talent a monumental accomplishment, as well as a global influence of Pastor Ituah. We have decided to institute an annual colloquium to celebrate his birthday every year. We started in 2021 when he turned 60, in spite of the raving pandemic and peculiar circumstances. In 2021, the theme was fulfilling your purpose in a challenging time. This year's theme, we all know what has happened in the last 3 months in Nigeria. That's why we said we should call this colloquium A New Nigeria, a leadership imperative for radical growth and transformations. This is a timely giving of our leadership and developmental challenges as a nation. These challenges are already well known, and they can be overcome through a dynamic and visionary leadership and appropriate developmental strategies. I hope we frequently believe our keynote speaker, Professor Ighodalo'S, and the galaxy of our discussants that gather here today, we do justice to this important topic. You can see the speech, I'm just paraphrasing it, in page 7. Finally, let me appreciate all our resource persons for today at this critical time of our nations. We have no doubts that discussion will generate an actionable projection to further enrich our knowledge as we build. And in 2021, Professor Kojo Yanka, the former minister of information of Ghana, was the chairman. And the keynote was Professor Shola Fajano, the vice chancellor, National University of Lesotho. And last year we have Professor Tony Ogundipe, who was the keynote speaker. And discussants were Professor Ogen. Permit me to also commend my team for doing this wonderful job. Mrs. O, wherever you are, Mrs. Olurakinyo, let's appreciate her for supporting these great visions to celebrate this event. My secretary, Veronica Ohegbu, and my dear brother, sitting in UK, watching us live, that have been supporting and encouraging us to do this, Pastor Oluyinka Oyeniji. I want to appreciate you. Mr. Mike Olatunji. And especially I want to appreciate one of my beloved brothers that stood by us, Dr. Alex Bankole Kainde, for supporting us morally in everything, encouraging us to make today a great event. And I want to appreciate all the members of Trinity House. You have great people. God bless you. Please sit down, relax, and enjoy the event. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for Pastor Jeremiah Akinshele. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, very shortly, we'll be bringing on of Nigeria and the former Emir of Kano. He's currently out of the country, or he'll be joining us via Zoom very, very shortly. Before His Eminence joins us, I'll just speak a little bit about this Nigerian himself and our dear own Pastor Ituah share like passions, passion for our nation, Nigeria, integrity, diligence, conscientiousness, even to the point of self-sacrifice. These two gentlemen typify that every single day of their lives. Apart from the small matter of them being ex-KC old boys, but we won't hold that against them. And Pastor, we won't hold it against you. You left Igbobi College, you went to King's College, but it's okay. We forgive you, Pastor. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm waiting for a signal. Is he on?
I'm on.
Excellent.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Khalifa Muhammad Sanusi II.
Thank you very much. Can you confirm if you can hear me, please?
Can hear you, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And let me begin by recognizing my brother, Pastor Ituah Ighodalo, and all the distinguished personalities present, and thank all those who have put in the effort to put this together. I would like to begin by offering my profound apologies to everyone. I had committed to be with you physically today. I do have a meeting tomorrow in South Africa. My plan was to attend and then leave tonight. Unfortunately, a few days ago, I was informed that the airline only leaves Nigeria Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so I had to leave on Sunday in order to make my meeting. I really, really feel sad that I'm not there. And before I make a few remarks on the topic of today, I know this upschool boy has already told you that I'm a KC boy. Ituah and I don't speak of Ituah as a friend. He's my brother. We went to King's College in January 1973. We're in the same house, we're in the same class. We have maintained this love and friendship since 1973. All of you who know him know he's a wonderful gentleman. I joined King's College about 2 weeks after he joined, and I must say he bullied me at the beginning for the first 2 days, took advantage of the fact that he went earlier than me and pretended he was my senior. So he's not always been a good boy. He grew into a good boy later in life. The pictures you will see will show how Ituah and I were part of the King's College choir. We're part of everything together. And I would like to thank and honor the memory of our mother, Mrs. Ighodalo, and our wife, Ibijuni, and all the people who played a role in Ituah's life as a student, as an accountant, as a pastor, and as a great Nigerian. So it is a great honor for me to be here to share this moment with him, to pray to God to grant him long life and give him great opportunity to serve our country and his faith. And I do look forward to many more years of fruitful contribution to the future of this country. On the topic today, I would like to thank Professor Ebode and all the dignitaries who have agreed to participate in the colloquium. In October last year, speaking at the Kaduna Investment Forum, I said to Nigerians that if anyone told them that dealing with Nigeria post 2023 would be easy, they should not vote for that person. And I meant it, because I don't think Nigeria has been in a place as difficult as this since the Civil War. We have a challenge of nation building. We have a country that has now been divided very dangerously along ethnic and religious lines. We have an economy that's in doldrums. And unfortunately, we seem to be having a dearth of leadership among political leaders. I think beyond defining what we want as a leader, we need to look critically as a country at the process through which our leaders emerge. Now, no process is perfect. We've seen in the United States, we've seen in the UK, that they have made mistakes with choosing their leaders, but at the very least, the people know who they are voting for. I think we need to begin to look at the Electoral Act much, much earlier than elections. We need to have a system where you cannot just go and participate in party primaries without exposing yourself to public scrutiny. This is what happens in the UK, Labour Party, the Tories, Americans, the Democrats, and the Republicans. Everybody has a chance to see them as they address their party. Everybody has a chance to understand what their policy is, what their vision is. They ask questions, and people know what they're voting for. So even when the party selects a candidate, you know that the nation knows the candidate they've selected. And throughout, they're compelled by law to participate in public debates, to come and discuss issues of policy. This is the only country I know where we only know when we have elected a president if he knows what he's doing, if he understands what the job is, what his plans are, what his vision is. You can actually get into the presidency without Nigerians knowing exactly whether you have the capacity to do the job or whether you have the vision to do the job. And I think beyond talking about the kind of leader we want and the kind of policies that we want, we need to now begin, and also beyond looking at the electoral process and the voting process, which is very flawed, but which can be improved upon with the Electoral Act. We need to expand that into the process through which parties bring up candidates and elections happen. And that the important thing is there must be an improvement in the transparency around, and the candidates must be compelled to face the country and discuss their issues and their vision. And when we begin to do that, the parties themselves will be forced to give us candidates that can do the work. And we as Nigerians will at least have the good fortune of knowing that we knew what we were voting for when we voted for it. So these are elements, these are aspects of our democracy that I think need to be looked at, which we have not looked at sufficiently. I'm sure the topic today will talk about the decades of missteps we have made on the economy, the way we have reversed institutional growth and institutional independence and development, where we now have weak institutions that have been totally politicized. And those who are unelected officers who are supposed to be the safeguard for our economy, for our polity, for our society, have become politicized. And there is now little difference between those who are elected and those who are unelected. Everything is political. People have questions about regulations, they have questions about policing, they have questions about the judiciary, they have questions about the electoral umpire. And I think we need to we had made some progress many years back, which has now been reversed, but we need to go back to rebuilding institutions and asserting their independence and ensuring that they protect the democracy and the economy that we all live in. I would like to wish each and every one of you a very happy day, and I wish Ituah happy 62nd birthday. I'll head in there in a few months, inshallah, and I'll be joining you. So thank goodness it's the same year, so you can't claim you're a year older than me. I would like to again thank you, Ituah, for your friendship. Thank you for being who you are. encourage you to continue being who you are, to continue standing up for those values that you've always had, and to continue to have hope in this country, because if we lose hope, then the next generation is finished. All of us have been beneficiaries of the work that was done by those before us, and we have a responsibility for rebuilding this country for those who are going to come after us. I wish you successful deliberations, and again, I apologize for not being able to attend today what I consider, what I'm sure will be a very interesting conversation. But maybe it's also good, because if I was there, I'd probably have made one or two controversial comments that I do not think I should be making at this point in time. So I will stop here before I make them, because they're already beginning to come into my brain. Thank you very much. I wish you a successful day. And Ituah, happy birthday, my brother. Congratulations.
For the inimitable SLS, he's never shy about speaking his mind, except for today. And it's because of Pastor. He doesn't want to put Pastor in trouble. That's the reason why. But, you know, forthrightness is a virtue that we need to have. Speak the truth, stand by it, pay the price when and where necessary. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. We'll try and move very, very swiftly with our program today. I think just joining us, the Consul General of India in Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir. We truly, truly, please put your hands together for him. We truly thank you for taking time out to celebrate our own. Very shortly, Consul, I will be inviting you up to share a few words, maybe give a bit of a goodwill message from the good people of India to your Nigerian hosts. We have a very long history, our two countries, and I'm hopeful that we can share some leadership ideas together. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without further ado,
understand that he is a man of good standing in business and expert in professional accounting. So he should contribute to the development of Nigeria, contribute to the bringing in professionalism in Nigeria. since you have given me the mic, so I would just dwell upon that today we are standing, both India and Nigeria is standing at a very fruitful junction. And we have great bilateral relationship between our both countries. Politically, historically, and people-to-people contact is excellent. Many of you who are here have visited India for different purposes, for education, for health, for military training, or for many other things. And I'm sure India would have always welcomed you. And I assure you today that India stands by the Nigeria as we are the president of G20 today, and we have invited our friend Nigeria as a friendly country to G20, and we would be welcoming them. So thank you for inviting me on this occasion, and I am feeling really peaceful here. Thank you. All the best, Pastor.
Please put your hands together once again for Mr. Khan, Consul General of India in Nigeria. Consul, we understand you are about to leave, but as is our custom, we would like to give you a little gift before you leave us. Once again, we truly thank you for taking time out of your obviously very, very busy schedule. Can we have the gift very, very quickly, guys? Right, so whilst that is going on, the next item on our program for this afternoon, yes, it is afternoon, is to invite, immediately after the photograph sessions, is to invite our own Auntie Tolu Ighodalo to come and speak on behalf of the distinguished Ighodalo family. Maybe Auntie Tolu will leak one or two secrets about Pastor when he was age 1.5 or 2, because I'm sure none of us here will be privy.
Please hold on, sir. Please hold on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, photographers, Consul General, Mr. Khan, thank you very much for taking time to be with us today and for celebrating with us. So I'd like to invite very quickly Auntie Tolu. Please put your hands together for Miss Tolulope Ighodalo. Don't stop clapping until she gets right here.
Good morning, everybody. His Royal Highness, SLS, my brother Ituah Ighodalo, the pastor and the celebrant of today. I should say all protocols observed, all Royal Highnesses here present, all senior government officials here present, all pastors of the Church Assembly of Nigeria, which I mean by that, all churches, not just Trinity House, here present. My in-law, Chief Mrs. Monisola Ajayi, Ibidun's mom, and all guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming this morning. I'm here representing the Ighodalo clan, not just the Ighodalo family. Should I reveal some secrets? You know, from birth, mother had a habit of saying, Tolu, I'm bringing you a new baby. From the time Ituah was born, he was special. He was my baby brother. So I felt very protective. I protected him from Aswe. I protected him from anybody who dared to attack him. They had me to face. The thing is, Ituah was brilliant. His smile was beautiful, even as a newborn baby. He was gentle. He was caring. As he grew up, he was very, very sympathetic. He was naturally empathetic. And it has gone through till today, the kind of person he is. The truth is, I'm sure everybody in Trinity House knows, Ituah is an extremely empathetic person. And because he's empathetic, he feels a lot, very deeply, the things that happen around him, in the family, in Nigeria. Our parents, especially my mom, brought us up very, very strictly. They kept on saying, always remember the family name that you bear. Do not spoil the family name. In all things, my mother would tell us, you have two hands, you have two legs, none of them is broken. Your head is correct, your brain is working. Why wouldn't you work? Why would you be lazy? So one of the epitomes of our life was you had to work, and you had to work hard and work well and work smart. My mother would say to you, there is nothing you cannot achieve if you work hard. If you focus, is strategic, what they now call intentional. In all things, you can achieve the highest. My mother was somebody that we could all talk to. You know, in the traditional Yoruba fashion, you had to have a lot of respect for your elders, especially your parents. I didn't learn to kneel down till I was about 16, when some chiefs of Ile-Ife came visiting. And me that had never knelt down before, my mother said, Pule, and that was how it was. But despite that, we could talk to her about anything. We could sit on her lap, hug her, kiss her, you know, and she managed to combine both the traditional and the modern. She managed to talk to us as equals, to train us as equals, even when she was the strictest of disciplinarians. But to grow up right. And that is what I expect spoke into Ituah's mind when he decided to start the African Leadership Group, when he decided to step into the issue of leadership in Nigeria and decided that nobody is speaking, somebody has to speak. And we all have to develop the courage to be able to speak truth to power. The problem was we all got scared of telling the truth. We all got scared of telling people who are in authority that what you have done is wrong. difference between one side of the country and another side of the country. We were all one. And so in this regard, on behalf of the Ighodalo clan and the Akitude clan, I wish to say thank you very much to all of you for being here once again, and to congratulate Ituah for this special occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Auntie Tolu. Please put your hands together for her one more time. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're at that point in today's program where I will ask that you sit back, relax, tighten your seatbelts, because we're about to listen to an erudite scholar. My co-moderator, Temitayo, will read we had to abridge his profile. He will read his abridged profile. But distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put, even before we read the profile, please put your hands together for our keynote speaker today, Professor Akin Oyebode. Temitayo.
Thank you. Professor Akin Oyebode was born in Ado-Ekiti of Ikole-Ekiti extraction on the 9th of December, 1947. He attended the famous Christ School, Ado-Ekiti, for both his secondary and higher school certificate education, before proceeding to the Kyiv State University, Ukraine, on federal government scholarship in 1967 to study international law. After obtaining the LLM with the highest distinction, he returned to the country in 1973 and joined the University of Lagos as an assistant lecturer. In 1974, he was admitted to the Harvard Law School, Cambridge, Massachusetts, obtaining another LLM. In 1975, he subsequently went to Goodwill Law School, York University, Toronto, Canada, the largest and leading law school in Canada, earning the Doctor of Jurisprudence in 1988, having specialized on the law of treaties. In 1991, he was appointed Professor of Law and founding Dean of the Faculty of Law of the then Ondo State University, a position he held until 1997, when he returned to the University of Lagos. 2 years later, he was invited back to be the pioneer Vice Chancellor of the University of Ado-Ekiti. Upon completion of his term in 2004, he once again returned to the University of Lagos, where he has been occupying the chair of International Law and Jurisprudence. He is the chairman of the university's Office of International Relations, Partnerships, and Prospects. Professor Oyebode has to his credit 7 books, monographs, and other 200 learned papers. He has been an assessor for professional appointments and external examiner to many universities at home and abroad, and he is a member of the board of directors of the African and African American Foundation on Science, Education, and Economic Development, New York, Center for Advanced Social Science, Port Harcourt, Chair of the Board of Trustees, Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center, Chair, International Advisory Board, Institute of Human Rights and Humanitarian Law, Consultant, UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, Vienna, former Chair, Catholic Secretariat Think Tank, ETC, and was recently appointed as a consultant by the African Union and charged with the task of drafting the Convention on Cross-Border Cooperation in Africa. He is a fellow, Nigerian Association of International Affairs, and member of the Governing Council, Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, member, Governing Council, University of Lagos, fellow, Nigerian Institute of Management, Chartered, member, UNESCO list of mediators and conciliators. He is a member of the Board of Trustees, Obafemi Awolowo Center for Philosophy, Ideology, and Good Governance. He's a member of the Steering Committee, Ekiti Knowledge Zone, and delegate to the National Conference 2014. He has won numerous awards, including the first foreign graduate to be inducted into the Permanent Roll Call of Honor, Kyiv State University, Ukraine, National Association of Democratic Lawyers, Distinguished Jurist Award, Best Law Lecturer. Professor Aki Oyebode. Let us not stop clapping until he gets here, please. Thank you. We're going on to bring on Professor Olugbenga Ige. Professor Olugbenga Ige, a distinguished professor of palynology and paleoecology. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in botany from the University of Benin in 1984. He was Deputy Vice Chancellor from December 2016 to January 2020. A quintessential administrator and multiple award winner, Professor Ige was awarded Ondo State Pillar of Education of the year 2020 on the 12th of September 2021 by the Era magazine. He hails from Ituah in Akure North local government area of Ondo State. He's married to an amiable wife and they are blessed with children. A round of applause as Professor Olugbenga Ige comes up, please.
Recording.
Miss. And the second
Hello, yeah.
He's a professor of economics. He's a professor of economics. 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 Professor of
Ó fẹ́ yọ owó lẹ́sìn ẹ̀ nínú 50,000. Lọ́rọ̀ ní dáre lọ́rọ̀ bá dáre lọ́rọ̀ sọ ìyá ìlẹ̀ máa bá sọ̀rọ̀ ló pè yàtí dáre. Ó dà pé ìyá ẹ̀ sọ pé ṣé mo pé ìyá ẹ̀ sọ ẹni ṣubú ìyá ẹ̀ ní pé ká ṣì yọ owó next time mo ṣàlàyé pé ìyá ẹ̀ ní ká ṣì yọ owó next time gbò tí o kẹ́ wá yọ owó lẹ́sìn nínú 50,000 yẹn so ẹ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn so ẹ kàn díẹ̀ pé ṣé lẹ́sìn yẹn gbóṣù mélòó bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn so kẹ́ yọ owó lẹ́sìn nínú future ọgbọ́n ní bàbá wọn fẹ́ ní 50,000 so owó tọ́ta mi ò dẹ̀ wà nínú 40 something tí mo fẹ́ lè sí nìyẹn so ẹ bá kọ́ owó tọ́ta mi ẹ kúrò bẹ́ẹ̀ náà kẹ́ wá yọ owó gbogbo lẹ́sìn tó bá jẹ ẹ wò bí àwọn sì ń ṣe ìdílé.
Used to query. I believe all So I'm not going to say me on the
topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, on the topic, I said first female permanent secretary in Nigeria. And that is a lot of capacity, because we know that a good fruit from its origin. His sister. Let me say, many have. It is taking long. It's so initiative of hope. Swear. Audience asked me for any advice for them, because they are seriously thinking of bailing out of the Titanic. That instead of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, what are we going to do to retain our young, brilliant minds? My answer to them is that if I was their age, I would also have no hesitation in going elsewhere. But at my age, I think I'm too old now to be clearing snow from my drive front, or to be quaking and shivering because of the intemperate, inclement weather. As the lady who read my biodata revealed, I lived and studied in Kyiv,
Boston, and Toronto. So having lived and studied in these places, and it's not that I didn't have offers, especially in Toronto when I was wrapping up my doctorate, to stay. But I did not believe that I owed the Canadians any bit of my life. True, they gave me a Doctor of Jurisprudence degree, but I was anxious to go back home. In fact, I remember too when I was at the Harvard Law School, I got an invitation from Baker and McKenzie. Baker and McKenzie is the world's largest law firm. They have over 4,000 lawyers, and they are in 40 different countries. The letter came in 75, noting that I was in the States, and they wanted to develop their West Nigeria practice. Well, again, I didn't bother in telling them that I was committed to the University of Lagos because I was on study leave to do a second master's in the US. And Baker McKenzie replied that if I had any cause to change my mind, I should feel free to contact their office. Well, I didn't have any cause to change my mind. I joined the University of Lagos, and I taught there for 44 years before I retired. And I feel so grateful to God that He enabled me to impact the lives of more than 70 senior advocates of Nigeria, more than 40 law professors, and countless judges on the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, the various high courts in the country, and even magistrates, not to talk of practitioners. I must add that the two members of my family, who you are informed are lawyers, were my students at the University of Lagos. Imagine if I was away in Toronto or in Boston or somewhere else. I could not have had the privilege of impacting on my children. However, perhaps we should interrogate how indeed we got to this sorry pass. From a country with tremendous promise upon independence to becoming the poverty capital of the world with the highest maternal mortality and infant morbidity rates in the world, Nigeria is slowly but surely approximating a failed state. Other well-known statistics of Afro-pessimism, it is undeniable that Nigeria today is in dire straits any moment from now, except radical changes are taken to reconfigure and reset the modalities of the Nigerian state. So how do we unravel the unfortunate situation that the country has been thrown into? How do we navigate ourselves in? How do we lay the foundation of recovery and build a better Nigeria? The answers to these critical questions form the essence of this presentation. I look back at my own upbringing. I left this country at 19 years old. government scholarship through the Institute of International Affairs to study international law in Kyiv, the same Kyiv that is subject to numerous attacks by their Russian cousins. And imagine a 19-year-old Nigerian going to Eastern Europe and the old Soviet Union to learn the rudiments of international law. And coming back after finishing and joining the University of Lagos. Maybe I should not have come back to the country. Well, most likely the United States. But God has a plan for each and every one of us. You can't cheat history, and you can't cheat at the provenance of the Almighty. Yeah. Today, as the MC said, ensconced in the problematics of Nigeria. Nigeria is at a crossroads, so much so that the future of the country appears bleak and desperate. A country that is unwilling and unable to provide succor for its people and hope for its youth undoubtedly needs a radical transformation and rebirth if it intends to come to grips with the tasks of the moment. Of the truism of the permanence of change should be the beginning of wisdom, desirous of the reinvention of our society. It's true of a country like ours, which has been severely bruised by misrule and bad governance, by those thrust into positions of power and authority in the land. The people generally had great hopes and aspirations for the country and themselves when the colonizers were compelled to surrender power to the colonized. Hardly had any monument worthy of note during their stay, and the task of building a country aimed at providing the wherewithal for the betterment and sustenance of the lives of the people. Nations of the colonial past are yet to be swept away in furtherance of a better tomorrow, which have thereby exacerbated the anguish of the people and their feelings of diffidence and self-doubt. Society is in the figure of members of my profession. And speaking an arcane language that is cognizable only to those who have been called to bar. And lawyers, in fact, elsewhere have called conspirators against the people. Because if everybody spoke like lawyers, they will have no clients. Lawyers have to disguise what is plainly common sense in grandiloquent legalese in order to be able to put food on the table. I come from a family of 11 lawyers, and we are still looking for clients. Because all lawyers, no clients, that's a tragedy. But with all the distinguished lawyers that we have in our society, the problem has been complicated and becomes more serious as one day passes by another. Exacerbated the anguish of the people and their feelings of diffidence and self-doubt. Is added the sad tales of impoverishment and squalor. It becomes quite understandable that the situation in the country is as precarious as it currently is. Furthermore, Nigeria's predicament is worsened by the monochromatic religious coloration of the incoming administration. Anybody who listened to the discourse between one of the presidential candidates and the respected general overseer in a bad shape, because this candidate was saying that there has to be a religious war. But apparently God did not listen to him. We now have, as I called it, a monochromatic religious coloration in terms of the dramatis personae of the next government. To the question of leadership and the way ahead. Of this colloquium, it is imperative to interrogate the prospects for both incremental change by way of reform and radical change through revolutionary social and political transformation. So we are caught in a vortex between incremental change by way of reform and the necessity to smash the inherited colonial apparatus and create a new Nigeria that can answer to the needs and aspirations of our people. The current state of affairs in Nigeria can in great measure be ascribed to failure of leadership and to some extent impotence of the followership. Generally known, a people get the leadership they deserve. To recall the words of Joseph de Maistre. I don't know whether you accept de Maistre's thesis that the people get the government they deserve. Is that if you have a leadership that is less than what we deserve, then we have an obligation to change that leadership. The weakness or inability of the people to challenge or confront the leadership in a bid to ensure good governance and responsible leadership that gives rise to changes with unintended consequences. If you agree that the leadership we get is the one we deserve, then we just have to pray to God to ensure that those who are well prepared and acculturated into servicing the needs of the preponderant majority of our people get to power. That is similar to what the chairman was saying to us through the Zoom, that we have to revisit the leadership recruitment process in Nigeria. For instance, I did not vote during the last elections because I thought the candidates profiled will offer us no respite from the problematics of Nigeria. And I don't regret not voting. In fact, if another vote is called, it's unlikely that I will go to vote. Well, I must confess, I registered to vote when I was a resident of the campus, and I've not transferred my credentials to where I now live. I live not too far from here. and without the transfer of my voting card and what have you, I will not be on the electoral register. But that's another point. I'm saying that we as Nigerians, we have an obligation to the rest of the black race, because Nigeria is not just another country. Nigeria is the world's largest concentration of black people. He has just returned from a visit to Brazil, where he was given the due honors of a potentate, and he was ministering to the Yoruba people, who represent an ample percentage of the citizens of Brazil. I'm sure he must have visited San Salvador and Bahia, and where Yoruba is studied, where worshippers of Shango and other Yoruba deity abound, not only in Brazil, but in places even like Honduras, Cuba, and I know of the Cubans. There was a time the Cuban ambassador here told me that when the then Oni visited Cuba, he was surprised to see the way the Yorubas in Cuba were worshiping Yoruba deity. And they told the Oni then, Oni of yesterday, that they are more diligent in their proselytization than even the Yoruba in Nigeria. I don't know, maybe the Oni will regale us with some of his experience from Brazil. I know my wife is of Brazilian extraction, so I know what I'm talking about. When you go to the Brazilian area of Lagos, the architecture and their festivals and what have you that they brought along from the time of the slave trade. These are important connections which Nigeria has not even deemed it fit to exploit, because, as I said, we are not an ordinary country. Our role is assured in the scheme of things. And you find in my conclusion that we have to do something to liberate ourselves from the hangover of underdevelopment and misdirection. Underdeveloped political environment such as ours, the people must be able and prepared to take their destiny in their hands in order to forestall dictatorship and oppression. After all, it is often said that those who make peaceful change impossible ultimately make violent change inevitable. I'm not original. That was President Kennedy speaking to fellow Americans. So we must be prepared to change our modalities of existence if you don't want a revolutionary change. Transformation is either by way of reform or downright revolution. However, whichever option is adopted will necessitate a full and thorough grasp of the requisite strategy and tactics in the context of the existing ratio and balance of class forces. Well thought out can be, in the final analysis, counterproductive, dysfunctional, and undesirable. Taking into account every intervening variable, Nigeria is definitely ripe for revolution. However, the contradictions are yet to mature into a full-blown revolutionary situation because the subjective elements have not yet metamorphosed into the preconditions for a revolution. I don't want to delve into the strategy and tactics of revolutionary change, because I'm reminded that The premises we are using now is the house of God himself, like the Indian diplomat reminded us. The contradictions are quite noticeable within the socio-economic formation. So we will not mistake and should not mistake the wood for the trees. For a proper diagnosis is the panacea of effective action. However dire the situation may be, there is really no substitute for cold-blooded scientific analysis aimed at predicting the path of social and political development. This is especially critical for leaders who are charged with the task of decision-making and charting out the trajectory of a country's political and socioeconomic development. More important, policy decisions taken without a thorough grasp of the antecedents or the laws of social development could occasion deleterious and costly consequences for the community, as the country has been experiencing in the recent past, and making allusion to the currency change or the attempt to instantly create a cashless society. We are all victims of the cash crunch, and I don't think we have gotten out of it yet, even today. Whether or not there are prospects for a better Nigeria, majority of our people are incurable optimists who actively pray and wish for a better tomorrow. Admittedly, the acutely poor turnout at the recent elections will tend to belie the attitudinal chemistry of most Nigerians. Yet, the vast majority will seem to hope for the best in the country, despite the growing Japa syndrome. Undoubtedly, Nigeria can use a reset in the way and manner we carry on if progress is to be achieved. Nevertheless, the majority of the population will have to be open to new ways of doing things and inculcate novel attitudes and inclinations, especially in group dynamics and interpersonal relationships. It is simply enough to keep trumpeting the fact that we are the largest concentration of black people in the world. We have to rethink and reconfigure the quality of life of our people and reposition ourselves in the pecking order of the world. A situation where we are ignored in the scheme of things in the world is quite simply unacceptable. I was happy to learn that India now wants to invite us to the group of 20 because Nigeria is not a country that the rest of the world wanted to reckon with. I hope when we get to the group of 20, we make incisive and fundamental contributions to proceedings at that level. A short way has to be found to transmute us from the third world to the first in the shortest period of time. And I'm here referring to the exploits of Lee Kuan Yew, how he succeeded in moving his island state from the third world to the first in a couple of decades. If our Asian friends can do it, there is nothing preventing us from doing the same, given the right leadership. So everything centers on leadership. It's about harnessing the available human resources to achieve said goals, it seems to me that the time is right to identify the politically correct leadership that can galvanize and nudge the people towards the goals of a greater and nobler Nigeria. I thank you very much for listening.
Another round of applause for the most erudite Professor Akin Oyebode. Ladies and gentlemen, Mali, don't worry. And warmly welcome our very own, His Imperial Majesty, Oba Adeyeyi Enitan Babatunde Ogunwusi, Ojaja II, Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And he is supported by Olori Mariam Ogunwusi. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once again. Very quickly, Professor Oyebode has given us food for thought, and I was taking copious notes. I would now like to progress into the discussion session. For joining us. I have my own questions for you, Prof. You mentioned that if it were not for age, you would have considered jackpying, but that you fully understand why young Nigerians, or indeed Nigerians of all ages, are seeking the quickest exit route out of our nation. On our discussants to speak. Talk about incremental versus radical change. On a time scale, one takes a lot longer than the other. But one comes with dire consequences, and we have seen nations go through that. Ultimately, they reset, they recalibrated. Be to Nigeria, because I think majority of people will vote for the incremental option, the reform-driven option. But we've had 63 years. So what is your advice to the incoming administration? How do we accelerate the reform agenda, sir?
Read. Yes. That it doesn't even seem, from what I read online, that his correct age is 71. I listened to Chimak, who is in the audience, on TV, where he revealed that as his in-law, he volunteered an age which is far removed from what was disclosed. But age is just a number. And since I'm in my 70s, I know that I don't hide my age. I'm 75. As I said, I worked for 44 years as a law professor, and I was vice chancellor in between. I've just been appointed pro-chancellor of Ekiti State University. So it seems in effect, people revere age in our society. We respect the elderly because they are deemed to be suffused with a lot of wisdom. All I can wish Asiwaju is the best of luck, but a leader is as good as the men and women around him. Asiwaju has a knack for selecting very competent people he touches base with. And don't forget, Asiwaju went to the Richard Daley Community College in Chicago. Richard Daley was mayor of Chicago for over 20 years. And I believe Asiwaju molded his life after that of Richard Daley. Because I remember visiting him in his office at Alausa. He had a picture of Richard Daley in front of his desk. And there is no secret that the Richard Daley Community College that he went to prepared him to attend Chicago State University to make up for whatever inadequacy that he's supposed to have. I think we can give him the benefit of the doubt that coming from Mobile, coming from the private sector, he's well schooled in how to fix things. He was head of treasury in Mobile, and he has the antecedents. He's worked for some international accounting firms. So this is a guy who has paid his dues. And so I think in the choice of his cabinet, he will get the best and the brightest, because you can't afford to make mistakes at that level. As president of Nigeria, the whole world is looking at you. Your traducers are hoping that you will fail. But Asiwaju never wants to fail in anything he does. So that is why I will grant him the benefit of the doubt and allow him. He will make mistakes, no doubt. He's human. He has to make some mistakes. But on balance, I think his presidency will approximate a changer, a turnaround in our fortunes. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Thank you very much, Professor. Please put your hands together for Professor. So what I would like to do is very, very quickly, our discussants. I know that you all have different specialties, but I would like very briefly for you to react to Professor's speech. He said it is not a keynote, it is just a speech. So starting from you, Mr. Onoja, very, very briefly, 1 or 2 or 3 nuggets and responses. Then after that, I will ask specific questions about your core area, which is citizenship and leadership. Can somebody help us with them?
Okay, I think it's okay. Well, you didn't ask any specific area, but I think Professor's speech is provocative enough, and it has some nuggets from the book of Lamentation concerning leadership, because we've been suffering it. He didn't exactly quote Professor Chinua Achebe, who in 1983 wrote a small book. And the first sentence in the book is, "The trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a failure of leadership." And he spoke to that theme, a failure of leadership. And he spoke at a time somebody is going to assume leadership of the most populous black nation on earth, a country where we are beginning to see some things. You know, as he said, we have just had some elections. No, even the turnout was not too good. But even in some developed countries, we don't have a good turnout, except in some countries like Australia, where it is compulsory to vote. But that is not the issue. What have we seen? People are still even lamenting. If a person like a professor, in some years ago, Professor Frank Ugwaja, who taught me at the Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos, said professorship is the highest distinction in the world. And I was so happy when he got that distinction. But we are beginning to see that in our country, we will challenge when we get there. The professors, Professor Jega, appointed to supervise elections. What are they delivering? We are going to ask questions. Let me stop there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at some point we'll yield the floor to take comments and contributions. But this is a safe space. This is Trinity House. We welcome all comments, all shades of opinion. So please express yourself very, very freely. I'm going to ask a question. Mr. Onoja, I will come back to you. But let me ask a question of Ms. Jumoke Akintaylor. Professor mentioned a phrase in the course of his speech. He said, the people, or maybe it was a question, do the people really deserve, or do the people really get the leadership they deserve? So Mr. Onoja, quoting Chinua Achebe, has said the problem is squarely at the table of the leadership. So I pose this question to you. Is it purely all about the leadership? What is the role? What is the responsibility of the followership?
And I think I have a different perspective in the sense that leadership is not a person, it's a character trait. And maybe we've left leadership to a select group of people and just felt that maybe this less than 1% of the population were the ones that were supposed to lead us. And we as the electorate or the citizens don't understand that we have a responsibility to be leaders as well. And the leadership traits that we as Nigerians must have are just what we should expect from our leaders: integrity, transparency, accountability, compassion, empathy, respectability, and the competence. And the list goes on and on. So maybe we haven't really looked at that as what we as a people should be, and left that role to an elect or a group of people that maybe don't even understand what that is. So I have a different take on that, that we as Nigerians should be the ones leading, and those that take office should be following our leadership. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Ultimately, the power should ordinarily reside with the people. But when you have a situation where power has essentially been captured, how do the people regain the powers? And that is what Prof was talking about, incremental versus radical change. Mr. Oloja, I mispronounced your name on 2 different occasions, and you have sent a message to me, so I am formally apologizing and promising to pronounce your name properly, Oloja. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call on Barrister Ituah. You know, as we go into this next phase in our journey, a lot of people are focused on economic reform, political reform, but all of that can only happen when there is security of lives and property. So as a security expert, a retired commissioner of police, please speak to us about how quickly security of lives and property can be restored so that we create that enabling environment for investment and commerce and other economic activities.
Thank you very much. Before I go to what you have just requested, let me say very quickly that Nigeria in 1914 came into being without a consensus by Nigerians. It was just by fiat. And one of the things that has bothered me is the fact that in 1914, let us imagine how those who were living as at that time related to each other. Somebody in Sokoto State, another one in Ondo State, and another one in Kebbi State, another one in Anambra State, and so on and so forth. They possibly have not seen each other. They do not have the same culture. They do not eat the same type of food. They do not wear the same type of dress. And they haven't really seen themselves the type of administration that, with which they conducted themselves. In the North, it was by way of indirect rule, and it was successful. In the West, it was semi-successful. In the East, it wasn't. And we package all these people and say, you are one country and you are administered the same way. That is the beginning of Nigerian problem. Nigeria was not negotiated, and there was no opportunity for us to discuss how will Nigeria move on. We just found ourselves like in this hall, and we say we are one country. And sometimes some people say we are one nation. And we tend to deceive ourselves. That's one of the major problems. The second problem is that actions should have consequences. It doesn't in Nigeria. And so I can go on and say all these problems. So, and of course, you look at the Nigerian police that is constitutionally saddled with the responsibility for taking care of security in Nigeria. I remember in 2014 when we went on national conference, Prof will possibly remember and bear me witness. Part of the process of talking at the conference, you have to introduce yourself before you make your speech. And I had a special way of introducing myself. I mention my name, and I say a retired commissioner of police, and also a lawyer. Everybody will laugh and say two bad things in one person. So that's Nigeria. Nigeria sees the police as a bad thing. And of course, they also see a lawyer as also another bad thing. And when these two are combined in one person, that person must be the baddest, if you can permit me that. So this is where we had some of these problems that is confronting us. I was telling the convener, when I was invited for this program, I was very happy because Nigeria must move from where we are. We must take a bold step and move on. When I looked at the list of contestants, nothing about security. And I called him and I said, how can you discuss about a shift in attitude, a shift in everything that will take us to prosperity and no security? He agreed with me and told me if I like to come, I should come. And I was really very, very happy. The problem with security in Nigeria is because Nigerians don't even understand what security is. Security is not the absence of armed robbery or kidnapping and all that. That's not security. Security is a total thing, a state of equilibrium, where if an offense is committed, the suspects are arrested, they are prosecuted, lessons are learned, deterrence, everything is there. It's a complete thing. But in Nigeria, look at us. I will say this, I told myself, don't tell them your pension, no, but I will tell you my pension. I served the Nigerian police for 35 years, and I was commissioner of police. I was commissioner of police, apart from being force secretary, I was commissioner of police in Kogi, I was commissioner of police in Yobe State, and I was commissioner of police in Rivers State from where I retired. My pension is 137,000 naira. So you can imagine the pension of an inspector. And so if you want the police to improve, you must think about the welfare of the police. But over and above that, we are in the 21st century. In other climes, security strategy is technology-driven. Technology-driven. About a few years back, I was in the US, specifically in Los Angeles. Between Los Angeles and San Diego, there's a road, 14 lanes, 14-lane road, 2 service lanes on either side, and then 10 lanes in the middle. I watched that scene for about 30 minutes. Then, after 30 minutes, I looked so demoralized, and I asked myself rhetorically, where will a policeman stand here to say, come and open your boot and check your car? Nigerians are hypocrites. I mean, you just blame the police. If you go out of here, you see where police, between here and Okitipupa, I came this morning, you find maybe 4 policemen on the road, no vehicles sometimes, or maybe it's soldier, the military, or it's road safety and all that. You have a rickety vehicle there, and you know,
thank you very much.
Trailers and all, they are going, and then you want the police to bring us to where they will be in comparison with the United States, Israel, and all these places. We must be joking.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together to the retired commissioner for his service to this nation. 35 years. And unfortunately, we are not paying the right pension, but don't worry, sir. We will support your ministry, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before I bring in Professor Erega, I'd like to warmly welcome and recognize our own First Lady, the wife of the governor of Lagos State, Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. And she is supported very ably by the Council of Wives of Lagos State officials. Ladies, can you please rise for recognition? Excellent. Thank you very much, Excellency. For those who are here with Excellency, we warmly welcome you all. Professor Erega, we had Barrister Ituah speak about the origins of insecurity, and he took it to the perspective, and I think Prof also spoke about us as a nation. They say that Nigeria has the largest aggregation of poor people. So when you have a situation where more than 50% of your population are surviving on less than $2 a day, how do you ensure that that security we need to drive local and foreign investment will come in? But the specific question, Prof, is this. Professor Oyebode also spoke about our Asian cousins who have moved from third to first world in one generation. We have seen our Gulf country cousins do the same thing, 30 years, 40 years. Not as blessed as we are. So what is your blueprint, your economic blueprint for this nation of ours?
Okay, good afternoon. And first, I want to thank you for the invitation. Let me start by saying that the outcome for what we want is transformation, and that is what the topic talked about, and that is economic transformation. Now, there is a link between economic transformation and radical growth that is in the topic. But in economics, it's not actually called radical growth, it's called sustained growth. Now, Nigeria has experienced sustained growth between 2004 to 2014, about 10 years, but the outcomes are still not desirable. So that takes me to talk about if growth is a prerequisite for economic transformation, but the kind of growth we have is not bringing the kind of economic transformation that we are having, then what then is the issue? And that will lead me to talking about the solutions that you're talking about. Now, in economics, growth is actually the accumulation of factors of production and the productivities of these factors. That implies that if Nigeria economy is growing as recorded, but unemployment issues are not addressed, poverty issues are not addressed, it means that the drivers and the sectors that drive those growth don't have the employment elasticities. For instance, agri and so on, these sectors that we have, right? The other side of my definition is productivities of factors of production. Factors of production must be very productive, whether it is labor, whether it is capital. Now, one of the major problems we have in Nigeria is that our factors of production are not productive. We have built a structure where a system that what I call that is built on sharing the national cake instead of building the national cake, and that is where productivity comes in, right? And that takes me to talking about what are the major drivers of productivity that any government that is coming on board should look up to. Number one, and that will trace me back to what Prof has discussed today. Number one driver of productivity in anywhere in the world is institution. Institution has link with growth, institution has link with innovation, institution has link with productivity. So the number one on the ladder of productivity driver is institution. And there are about about five components of institution. Number one is rule of law. Today we all agree that rule of law is nowhere to be found in Nigeria. From 1960 to date, we have had about 5 constitutions. Only 1960, 1963 constitutions were drafted in a civil system. Beyond that point, all the constitutions drafted to us were drafted by military system, and military ruled by edicts. And that's why you can see a militarized system that end up with the kind of poverty that we're talking about. So rule of law is very, very critical. There is no nation of this world that want to drive productivity, that want to move forward, and that expect to have economic transformation that plays with rule of law. Number two component of institution that is very critical that this new government must look up to has to do with what I call voice and accountability. We all say that democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people, right? If the people, we are electing leaders who are going to be entrusted with our resources, not just to manage them, but also to generate more resources. It then implies that we must be accountable to these people. Currently, Nigeria is rated very low. The third component of institution that we must look into going forward has to do with government effectiveness, and that is where leadership comes in. And what do I mean? In 2021, Nigeria was rated the third worst governed nations of the world. And what was the criteria used? It was based on leadership and foresight. Nigeria was rated very low. The second thing that amounts that rating was also in the corridor of what we call corruption, right? But I don't want to stop there. Corruption is one thing that is so an issue here. So let me move from the fourth thing that we must look into if we want to drive productivity vis-a-vis to economic transformation. The fourth thing that we must look into has to do with what I call political stability. Now, there is a link between rule of law to the governance, because the kind of leadership or human capital you produce is a function of the institution that govern that system. Now, if the institutions have issues, then you have the character of people that will be a resemblance of the institutions we have. Okay? So that moved me to the second point of what drives productivity, because productivity is the driver of long-run growth for economic transformation. And what is it? Human capital. See, in the ladder of, there is what we call the triangle of economic wealth. The first on top is knowledge. Over the weekend, I spoke somewhere in a church setting, and I was trying to tell them that Canaan is a knowledge economy. That God told them that fold your legs. In the desert, you don't need to do it. Manna will fall on you. We have a system that is thinking that just manna will come and then we share. And that is where we are killing productivity. We are just at the edge of looking for, if I can create a state for myself, I have access to the national cake without looking about how to create it. So Canaan is a knowledge economy. So on the first ladder of that is knowledge. No nation grows more than the skill knowledge that we have. And one of the ways to eradicate poverty is human capital development. And one of the reasons why Nigeria product don't cross our border except crude oil is because the product we have don't have global competitiveness. And one of the reasons why that happened is because in literature they said the economic complexity of your production process is very important. And that means that the production process that drives the product that we have determines the kind of product we have. The phone you carry go through a very complex process, and knowledge is involved. Whether it is technology, whatever thing you want to produce, knowledge is involved. So the first ladder is knowledge. The second is power. When you have knowledge, you have power. But when you have power, that is when you are going to have wealth. Now for Nigeria, it's on the other way around. It's opposite. We have wealth. We use wealth to grab power. Knowledge is out of the roof. And so where is the wealth coming from? My question about that is the wealth is coming from meeting with people, getting access to resources that we have not produced. And because we have access to these resources that we have not produced, we create wealth for ourselves without a source base, which is the knowledge, and then grab power. And that's how we have state capture. And when there is state capture, the political process will have the kind of political process that we have. And when there is state capture, poverty will be on the increase. When there is state capture, unemployment will be on the increase. So for me, human capital is critical. And that is why recently I was in a meeting in Abuja for National Development Plan. And one of the things I queried was this. Post-COVID has come. When COVID came, we were having educational system that could not, contend with global reality, which is that all schools must go online. And thank God for ASU strike. Even if there will be no ASU strike, it will be extremely difficult for our public universities to go online. It will be extremely difficult. ASU strike just add, help us to cover our shame. Now, post-COVID has come, and they were drafting a document for national development, and I asked them, I said, as of today, if something like COVID comes, they say, God forbid. I said, that's why we stay on the side of prayer. We're not saying God will forbid, but if it comes now, can our primary, secondary universities be able to go online? No.
Prof.
Thank you, sir. Let me stop there.
Let's put your hands together for Prof. That is why this man is a teacher. He dissected the issues in very, very clear, easily understandable terms. Prof, we thank you very much. To our discussants, I will just go round very, very quickly. And I will ask you all to please speak for the next 1 or 2 minutes. Members of the audience, you may have some questions. Please, a microphone is going to be set up somewhere in front of me. Please just walk briskly towards the microphone. Again, I will appeal that you keep your questions very, very concise and let us know which member of the panel you would want to respond to your specific questions. So I'm going to start from you, Mr. Oloja, and work my way down. Again, this is a critical season for us as a nation. We've had effectively 63 years of trying to find our way. So we now have another opportunity, reset, recalibrate, hopefully restructure. Can you, from your perspective, your knowledge, your experience over the years, articulate one or two specific areas of practical, implementable recommendations or advice to the incoming administration? And we will come down this way. After that, we'll throw it to the floor.
Let me introduce myself. I'm an Abuja person. My brother retired after 35 years. I have been a newspaper editor for 35 years. I became an editor in Abuja in 1990. And I have seen so many things like that have been wrong with Abuja, about this, about that. And I think since we have a new government, we don't need to be so academic about some of these things. I want to recommend to people who are coming into power that they need to take care of the civil service. It is the collapse of the civil service that is responsible for so many institutions that a prof was talking about. The civil service has collapsed. If the civil service hadn't collapsed, we wouldn't be looking for, we wouldn't be talking about professors being returning officers. I covered the election that brought Obama to power in the United States in 2008, I think it was in 2008 when the election took place. Civil servants, when I was there, I didn't know the name of their election management agency we call INEC here. I didn't know, nobody talked about the name of the chairman of the two political dominant parties there. Civil servants were conducting the election. We went to Virginia, we went everywhere. And they didn't have PVC and some of these things like that. You have a national ID card, you use it to vote. You don't need all these things like that. Civil servant, if somebody who has risen to the directorate level, permanent secretary, or even assistant director cannot be trusted, then there is a problem. You know, I was talking about professors the other time. I asked a question at a recent editorial board meeting. I said, where are we? There are so many professors. A vice chancellor, a former vice chancellor, Professor Wale Omole, former vice chancellor of the University of Ife, is the chairman of our editorial board. And Professor Bolaji Akinyemi is a visiting member. And a retired chief of army staff, General Chris Ali, is a visiting member, among other professors at the Guardian editorial board. I asked them, I said, Prof, if what we have seen here, where professors are not reliable, that's a problem. If the people who have the highest distinctions are being appointed as returning officers and they can be compromised, as one of them was jailed in Akwa Ibom, then there is a problem with the country. We need to go to certain area. So the collapse of civil service is something they should take care of. Because if we have a working civil service, I have seen, you don't need an EFCC, you don't need ICPC. The rules in the service that I have covered can cover everything. Let me give you an example.
Very briefly, sir.
Yes,
very
briefly. I give you an example. In the Constitution and another enabling law, the office in the civil service that should take care of corruption is the Office of Auditor General of the Federation. Because that is the office that is empowered by law to query even the office for appropriation that has been approved. They issue audit queries. They do all sorts of things, and nobody can question them. Once the president nominates the Auditor General of the Federation and is confirmed by the Senate, no constraint can ask any question. The question cannot, it is only the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly that Auditor General can report to. But the Auditor General in Nigeria at this time is just there, according to him, because the law does not rule. We are governed by the rule of man instead of the rule of law. That is the problem. So the civil service can take care of corruption. All these things we talk about corruption. We interviewed the General Yakubu Gowon in 2013 when he turned 80. And he told us, even in a military rule, how civil servants were controlling the system. And he told us in an interview we published that one of the permanent secretaries at that time who were attending, the Federal Executive Council, and they wanted to take care of certain things that concerned his family. Okay. And one of the permanent secretaries told him, your head of state, leave that matter to us, we will handle it and report back to you. And that settled it when there was a country, when there was a civil service.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Civil service reforms. Thank you very much. I will move very quickly to Ms. Jumoke Akin-Taylor. One or two critical pieces of advice.
I think I'm going to follow up on Mr. Oloja's comment that this is not academic. Maybe we need to bring the conversation down to the basic levels of really understanding what our role as citizens are, and I'm on the citizen side. I don't believe leadership is left to a few group of people. I believe we are the ones that should be leading. And my father here had mentioned reset and the rebirth of a nation. And it's not a political cycle that is going to change the nation. It's the reorientation of us as citizens and being vested in building the nation. And I would like for us to really disabuse ourselves that Nigeria was forced together. Nigeria was working very well in the 60s. It was working well in the 70s. It was working well in the 80s. And all of a sudden, because now we were all different tribes when Nigeria was working. So what happened? And so maybe we need to move away from that we were forced together as a nation and really start to cohabit as Nigerians. And also, civil service or institutions are people, and it's Nigerians, it's citizens that are in those offices. So what is our role? What is our responsibility in making those institutions and offices work? Mr. Oloja had talked about public or civil service. Civil service, if everyone performs their duty or their responsibility, then the system would work. It's that simple, it's that basic. If I go to an office and I'm asking for a document, there's a process for me to get that document. I should be able to get it without having to pay anyone or come back 10 times to get that same document. So if we believe in Nigeria as a nation, then we all must do our part. And we must understand our rights as citizens. I don't know that we fully do, that we have a responsibility to this nation, that we are vested in it. We talk about Singapore being able to change within a decade. It wasn't the leader that changed. It was the people that were vested in what the political elites were trying to do. So we as a people need to be vested. We need to hold each other accountable as we hold our leaders accountable. We need to be involved in the process and not just leave it up to those that don't necessarily know. It's a collaborative effort. And it's not just the political leaders, it's the religious leaders, it's the traditional leaders, the community leaders as well. So that's what I would like to really put out there, that we need to take leadership as citizens, understand our role and do it diligently, committed to the nation, committed to our work, and it's a God-given responsibility. It's not something that you were not born into Nigeria by accident. It was on purpose. And we need to find that purpose and begin to work and live in it.
Excellent, excellent. Please put your hands together for Ms. Jumoke Akin-Taylor. It is not by accident that we are in Nigeria, or we are Nigerians. The office of the citizen, they say, is the most important of all of the offices. All right, thank you so much. Barrister Adetui, very quickly, one or two short comments, please.
Well, like I said, of course, everybody here, everywhere knows that security is like the foundation. You know, like you want to build a house. We have seen skyscrapers here. You can't build that without taking a very, very strong look at the foundation. So that's the position of security in any country or nation. One thing I found quite intriguing in our own situation is that, and that's my opinion, I'm not speaking for government, I'm not speaking for the Nigerian police, I'm speaking for myself as somebody who served this country for 35 years and rose to become Commissioner of Police. The police generally is held in absolute contempt. That is the truth. Of course, there are very bad policemen, terrible policemen, but you must agree with me, with due respect to the Celebrant, we have bad bishops, we have bad pastors, we have bad teachers. I'm sorry, sir, we have bad professors. So why would you think that it's only police that will be bad? I mean, it's unfair. It's so unfair. And I can tell you this. When I was a unit commander in the police mobile force in Benin, 1978 to 81, we had 4 squadrons in that, 4 units in that squadron. And each unit, like mine, which I was the unit commander, I had 2 Land Rovers, I had 2 Unimog vehicles, I had 1 lorry. That's the complement of my unit. Today, we can't say anything like that again. And yet, we still want the police to perform. We must be magicians. Let me say this. I've just mentioned 2 points here, and we can look at it and think about it. Since 1999, when we started this republic, the ministers for defense, attorney general, and minister of justice, they are professionals in their own field. And of course, I don't think government will have appointed a civilian as Minister of Defense. But the police, the first in 1999, it was a prison officer. And ever since, they can appoint anybody to be Minister of Police Affairs. I know that there are some organizations, they will not treat as we have treated the police. Of course, there are array of professionals, enlightened people who could also be ministers of police affairs. Tell me what report, what decision will a minister of police affairs have to take that a retired police officer will not be found to be in that position? So the first thing is that, of course, people believe you put a policeman is corrupt, and a policeman will steal money, you know. And the second point, I wrote an autobiography, Policing in Nigeria, My Story. I'm sure most of us here have never seen that book. And Nigerians want security enhancement. I have taken time to write a 358-page book. Nigerians have not read it. The book was launched in Akure. I'm sure nobody has, more than 90% of Nigerians have not heard about the book, and we want security. You know, these are some of the things that we do. We do not look at security the way it should be. And in that book, I put there some recommendations. I'm happy that one of them is the issue of police trust fund to give enough funds as a stopgap for what the government can provide.
Thank you, sir.
When I'm coming here, I want to make this important point. When it came to execution, a retired IG was made a non-executive chairman, and the executive secretary is civilian. Let me, a civilian. Tell me what advantage it is if we are really serious about security in this country. So the issue is not about whether the police will change. It is all of us that requires a change of attitude. The police, no matter what they are in this country, not because I was a policeman, we are one of the best Nigerians. I can say that. You may not agree with me, but that is the truth.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, two things. Number one, the police is your friend. And number two, we need to buy this book. So please make this book available. We need to buy this book. Thank you very much, Barrister Ituah. I'm going to come to you, Professor Rega, then I will come to Professor Oyebode last. But I understand Professor Henrietta. Is Professor Henrietta in the room? From the Lagos Business School? Okay. Professor, please come forward. Professor, please put your hands together. She was meant to be on the panel. She was slightly delayed. But one of the discussion points, because this issue of leadership, and I think a few of our speakers have spoken about how critical getting our educational sector right is. So Professor, thank you very much for joining us. Please put your hands together as she walks to. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to you. I will allow you to make a quick intervention. And where we stopped, thank you very much. Where we stopped was essentially having every member of the panel give some practical advice to the incoming administration. We're looking for radical change. So we don't have the luxury of time. We've wasted 63 years has passed. So we want to catch up very quickly. So talk to us. How do we ensure that we have the right policy? We focus on those critical investment areas, education, other social infrastructure that can get us to where we need to be. Please.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the invitation. This is a very important question that you have just asked. Congratulations, Pastor Ituah, on your birthday. One of the most important things for us is to realize that Africa is very important to the world. In fact, it's actually the most important continent, not because I'm African, but because it contains 80% of everything the world needs. They've done DNA studies, and they found that the DNA strands of creatures determine their level of intelligence. They found apes and chimpanzees have about 4 strands. Europeans, the white race, have about 6, and Africans have 9, which means that Africans are, this is science. It's not anybody feeling one way or the other. And the proof of it is that civilization started in Africa. And this proof can be found in museums in the UK. So if you go to Liverpool Museum in the UK, you will actually see where they have themselves written that the first tools were found in Africa. So the question is, how come the seat of civilization has become, like the base? And it starts with a bit of corruption, but first of all, colonization. Many times we think that theory is impractical, but we're all victims of different theories. Africa was doing very well pre-colonial times. We never relegated women to domestic affairs. There were female queens and female warriors. We understood that we needed both men and women. We also had herbs that took care of all the ailments. In fact, from cesarean sections to vaccinations to even the internet were developed by Africans. But even the light bulb we all attribute to Thomas Edison, there's actually a black guy called Thomas Latimer who is responsible for the carbon filament that allows the bulb, remain on. So the bulb, if the bulb dies, it's useless. So how come none of us have ever heard about this Louis Latimer? We only hear about Thomas Edison. So what's the point I'm trying to make? That we have to come to a kind of renaissance, the self-awareness. Okay, so the two theories that have held us captive are the modernist theories and the dependentist theories. The first theory taught us that what is foreign is superior, and what is indigenous is primitive and backwards. And that was when we started embracing the foreign as superior and looking down on the traditional things that have kept us alive, managed climate change, ensured we had enough food to eat. All societies were self-sufficient. Indeed, even the educational system was such that we didn't even have unemployment because we had an inclusive system of apprenticeship that ensured that everybody learned something. So you had families of blacksmiths, families of fishermen, families of herbalists, the carvers. So there was a function for every family, and everybody learned from childhood what to do. Now, colonialism brought us Western education, which isn't bad, just that it sort of removed our minds from being self-sufficient to seeking paid employment. And we saw it as superior. But instead, it has made all of us, including our educational institutions, remain in a situation where, rather than train people to be leaders, okay, they say, Spider-Man says, with great knowledge comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. Knowledge is power. How come it isn't those who have education that transform society? Most of those who run SMEs are illiterate. They are not schooled. And yet they contribute 50% of the GDP. They are responsible for 96% of the total employment in the country, not the banks, not governments, not the oil companies. So obviously there's something wrong with the way we're thinking, and we need to sort of go back to our psyche. So to summarize, what I'm trying to say here simply is that our educational systems need to be decolonized. We need to begin to develop more job creators and not pursue perpetuating job seekers. So it is sad that people graduate from school and they're still helpless. Whereas you go to the markets, those who haven't gone to school are making millions and billions. It doesn't make sense. So time has come for us to begin to think about how to review our curriculum so that we produce the kind of leaders that Africa needs. And the entrepreneurial mindset is one of problem solving and continuous improvement. That's the mindset that has created Europe and America to be what they are today. It's the mindset we had before colonialism came and changed the way we educate people and the way we think. So we need to go back to the basics, to believe in ourselves again, and begin to think about how we can get those in charge of our educational institution to revamp our curriculum. We should be producing impact-driven entrepreneurs for national transformation. Thank you.
Put your hands together. So you see why it was important to bring Professor Henrietta up here. It is about a paradigm shift so that we graduate people who can create jobs, create employment. Kabiesi, I understand you are about to leave us, but by the powers vested in me on this stage, I am detaining you for a few more minutes. Please bear with us. I will yield the floor to you. I'm going to take very, very quickly Professor Erega, short and sharp. Then Professor Yebode, please just tie everything together for us, after which I will invite Kabiesi.
Okay, just straight to the point. My first recommendation for the incoming government is first to have a national philosophy. Philosophy drives your character and how the citizens should behave, how political process should be. So I will first say we need a national philosophy, whoever is taking over. Second is that we need a constitution that can help us drive that national philosophy. We'll agree that from 1960 to date, except 1960, 1963, post-1963, the constitutions we have, they are military-oriented drafting processes, right? So we need that constitution. That's why today we are still struggling with what to do with our constitution and all of that. So we need that rule of law that will make that to happen. My third point is that we need what I call structural planning. And what do I mean? Currently, what we do in Nigeria is what I call functional planning. Planning on existing structures that have not taken us anywhere. Structural planning is that you go back to the base and see that things are not working and then have a radical reform to take off from there, right? So that's my third recommendation. My fourth recommendation will be on human capital. Human capital development is very, very critical. And I think I've talked about the fact that knowledge is what drives power to wealth and what you could think about. And that brings me to our point. I know that one of the major problems we have today is dealing with our higher institutions. For me, as an economist, I believe that higher institution at that level is what I call it a luxury, and it should be paid for. And therefore, those who provide productivity in driving that must be paid the corresponding amount for the productivity they are giving. And that can only happen if we have a system that is self-driven. And the only way that can happen, one of the things I think in most fora I've recommended is what we call, let's have an education bank, for instance. And it's very critical. So we need an education bank for that to happen. We have several banks, infrastructure, agri. Education is critical, health is critical, but we don't have a bank around that. So those who don't have money can have access to loan. And we have a BVN today that can keep track of whoever it is, right? And then the system and the public institution can also have access to that loan to drive infrastructure that is needed for the kind of education we are thinking, right? So my final point is that we need meritocracy. For whatever appointment we are going to do, we must ensure that merit is given the first point. I don't care the political affiliation. Until merit is given its place, Nigeria will head nowhere. My fifth or sixth point has to do with the fact we need pragmatism. It's not everything that works in the US that works for us. Like she said, colonization is a major problem we have. We have seen cases where even in the National Assembly, where they want to draft documents and they get a Singapore document and then beat it. That's not what we need. And that's where data is very important. We must know our own issues, behavioral issues and problems we face, and then come up with pragmatic ways and policies to drive them. Last one is what I call honesty. There are so many people in leadership without integrity, and that's why we have a lot of problems today. We need honesty to drive Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Rega. Thank you. Professor Ebode, final thoughts.
Thank you very much. I think I said previously that I really don't have any blueprint. I don't have any silver bullet for the incoming administration. But I want to inform one of the participants who said I failed to acknowledge Ituah. I did. Unfortunately, you don't have copies of my paper.
No, I didn't say
Okay, so I said leadership. The leadership question is not a novel one. Yes. That people smarter than me, Ituah and co, including Wale Soyinka, have said the real problem with us is leadership. So I wasn't surprised that at a function to celebrate Pastor Ituah, we have to discuss Nigeria's leadership deficit, like I called it. Now, in terms of to round off, well, it's difficult to round off when you have such knowledgeable and scholarly people on this panel. Some of them I already know. Mr. Ituah, for instance, we were together in the confab, and his interventions I remember. In fact, these days when people accost me and say, "You were on the confab," I said, "No, maybe it's my brother." I said, "No," because the confab, people have forgotten the confab. And we discussed everything that was wrong with Nigeria and provided solutions. But Buhari, when he came in, he just put it aside and said that would not be his bother. We even had a draft constitution for Nigeria. The constitution we are operating today is Decree 24 of 1979. It's a military document, military diktat, and it tells a lie against itself, like the Patriots pointed out. So for me, the most urgent thing to do is to do away with what we call the 1999 Constitution, which was founded on the 1979 Constitution. So we have a rickety instrument to order our lives, and which is illegitimate. The Nigerian praxis is so illegitimate that it saddens me. Right as we are speaking now, the one-time president of the United States, Trump, is facing a court hearing right now. He thought he was bigger than everybody else, bigger than the law. He has a battery of lawyers to defend him, but history has been made that nobody is above the law. As a lawyer, I was so excited by the thought that, how did they end up with a Trump? Well, they ended up with a Trump, but they have now decided to cut him down to size. I saw his plane take off from Florida. He has his plane which he used for campaign and what have you. He went to stay in Trump Towers. He was like 10 feet tall. But as we speak, and Mr. Ituah said it can't happen in Nigeria. No, it's going to happen. Nigerians are getting more conscious, and they are asking uncomfortable questions. You see? We have to have faith in our people that they know what is right. And the time will come when there will be no room to hide. All I want is that we all subject ourselves to the due process of law. Somebody spoke of a paradigm shift. Well, I think it was necessary yesterday. We can't continue doing things we've been doing and expect a radical change. Things have to change. And part of why I'm here is to honor Pastor Ituah Ighodalo for what he's been doing. There are so many pastors. I forget that he's an accountant. The way he talks is really impassioned. And so if you want in one word statement of what we need in Nigeria, I say integrity. That will be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our most distinguished keynote speaker and all of the panelists, Mr. Martins Oloja, Professor Erega. You should be clapping for them. Miss Jumoke Akin-Taylor, Barrister Adetoye, I'm so sorry, retired Commissioner of Police, and our own Professor Henrietta Omubozie of the Lagos Business School, and our keynote speaker, Professor Akin Oyebode. Please put your hands together once again for the panelists. We will take a picture shortly, but at this point, I would like to invite. This is your turn now. His Imperial Majesty, Oba Adeyeye Enitan Babatunde Ogunwusi, Ojaja II, the Ooni of Ife. He is the royal father of today's event, and he will share some brief comments before he heads out to attend to other matters. Please put your hands together for Kabiyesi as he moves. Photographers, please clear the way. Don't stop clapping, don't stop clapping, don't stop clapping.
Your Excellency, our mother in Lagos State, I greet you from the throne of Oduduwa. God bless you and bless the works of your hand. Thank you for supporting our ever energetic governor. Today I'm here and I'm very excited, to the glory of God, who is the author and finisher of everything, God Almighty, the creator of all of us. I am here at the instance of my uncle, my very dear uncle. A lot of people might not know that Uncle Ituah, you like to call him Pastor Ituah. I call him my uncle. He's more of a Yoruba man than an Ishon man. In fact, we borrowed him away to Ishon. Everything about him, everything from Yoruba land. If you like, say no way, you're on your own. If I get into story about how he is a typical Yoruba man, you will understand. He's my uncle. We are blood related. Auntie is here too, and she can testify to it. I can tell you a little bit of story. If you like, keep saying no way, no way. I can even take him away from this church. You won't even see him for more than 5 years. He has a role to play on this throne. He is a prince. He doesn't like to call himself a prince. You'll be saying, Pastor Ituah, Pastor Ituah, Pastor Ituah. If you don't put Prince Ituah, if I come to this church, I will take him away completely. And I will take him to Kingdom of Ife. He has a role to perform there. Auntie, am I lying, Auntie? So next time when you want to come to this pulpit, you will say, Prince Pastor Ituah. If you don't put PP, if you say PI, you are on your own. Oh yeah, PP. A resounding round of applause for him. Pastor Ituah, Prince from the throne of Oduduwa. I can't even quantify my love for you. You have been there for me way before I ascended this throne. There is this saying in Yoruba land, Agbe oro eni eleni sori, agbe tie sile. That's Pastor Prince Ituah or Prince Pastor Ituah. Everything is PPI. Either you put Prince first or put Pastor first. We are changing your name today from PI to PPI. Has anybody here ever seen him gotten angry before? He's always smiling. Very charming smile. Very adorable, wonderful. With his candor, he's always there to support everybody. And that's why the whole world loves you. Pastor Prince Ituah. Not only me, myself here. That is your cousin. Because of our common heritage. When I was about to clock 40 years old, many years ago, you can do the maths, I took Pastor Prince Ituah to a lot of my various projects. There was one that he particularly liked by the ocean side. I built an island called Inagbe Grand Resort. So I told Pastor Prince Ituah that, Uncle, when I clock 40, I want to celebrate my 40th birthday on this island. And he said, he used to call me that name. He doesn't know how to call me now again. At times he gets confused. He will say, Kabiyesi, Aburo, Kabiyesi. I will just say, Uncle, you are forgiven. Don't worry. I know you are not used to it. So, honestly speaking, and true to his word, on my 40th, when I woke up, it was the first person I saw that day. He came and he prayed for me so deeply. He took his time and prayed for me on my 40th birthday. And he asked me one question that, Aburo, what next now? And I said, I have a calling. Let's join hands together to keep praying. I don't know, but it's my ultimate calling. I'm looking for this platform that I can give my life to service to the entire humanity. Pastor got that hint. But to the glory of God, I never knew it would be this close then. This was 2015. And that year, my father of blessed memory passed, my predecessor, Onishi Juade. The second day, I called Pastor. I said, Uncle, that's what I'm talking about. He said, leave everything you are doing. And like about 2-3 years before that time, I've had a couple of issues family-wise. Honestly speaking, my uncle has been there for me. He's always been there for me. Please, I want you to all say thank you and give him a resounding round of applause. A very, very dependable uncle. I've never seen your kind though, honestly, because you've always been there for me. And your amiable wife of blessed memory, we grew up together in Ibadan. I saw mommy now, I greeted mommy. She's still with us in spirit, and she will forever be with us. All the good things she did before leaving this world will forever be remembered for good. Uncle, we all love you. We're celebrating you today. I can go on and on and on. Things you've done for me that you don't even know. When we started that journey, it was very tough. And you now told me the story of our, the mother of GSA ruling house, Mama Tinuke Ighodalo, the biological mother of my uncle. She went through so much to prepare the ground for me to become Oni of Ife today. Thanks to her. Please clap for her now, please. Please. She gave us this product that you are all seeing and emulating today. PPI, Pastor Prince Ituah. Without her, there wouldn't have been Pastor Prince Ituah. Honestly speaking, every day of my life, I appreciate you. I thank God Almighty for your life. Look at Bayo Rotimi here saying, by power or what power vested on you, you will delay me here. You think we're in the bank then, that we used to own one bank together. We're on the board of a bank together. Myself, my uncle, and Bayo Rotimi. You think you used to do that shakara for, we're all board members. I'm a director in that bank too. Well, I would say I was a director in the bank too. And he used to speak all those English. He's still doing it, so he hasn't changed. He's an MD of a bank now, eh? Still speaking. If I catch you, you will disappear from your seat, eh? Telling me by the power vested on me, I will keep you there. I will just stretch that thing that I inherited on this throne, and you will just disappear. Should I try it? Honestly speaking, just say yes. I will bring it out now. Should I try it? Should I try it? Look at her, look at him. He's shaking here. He's shaking here like a jelly. Because of my uncle, I won't do anything. You better be careful. Don't keep on seated the next time. Oh. Be careful. Oh. It's not board meeting we are doing here. Oh. My uncle, I've been looking for a platform to actually celebrate you. I will still do my own. Oh. When I came in, I said, Uncle, this place has changed. Oh. This is our place now. Remember, about 13 years ago, I built one platform for you, right into the ocean. Because you called me that time, bro, that platform in there, your island that you built 2013, come and build one for me now. I said, Uncle, it's very expensive. Oh, you are rich now, go and build it for me, Joe. I said, yes, sir. I built that platform. He used to go there with Ibidu to pray. They are very close to nature. You know, the Spirit of God hovering on top of moving waters. You know, it's very chilling. Uncle just told me now that it's been destroyed. Uncle, I think I should work on how to resuscitate that platform back for you, so that you can be going there. Nobody can chance my uncle. For anything, I will fight. Now, when God was about to do this, my journey, we needed to talk to one very strong political leader in this country. We needed to go and prostrate. I said, I've been disturbing my uncle all the time. He now called me and said, why are you worried? I will go with you now. I said, really? He said, come and pick me at home, Joe. And lo and behold, we were there for 5 hours. Myself, my uncle, and Yemido, and few other ones. And we kept begging, Uncle, can you remember? Please, on this note, as I'm celebrating you today, and as we are all celebrating you today, heavens will continue to celebrate you. You are a good man. You are a good man. You are a good man. I've never seen anybody that will say, I hate or I don't like Pastor Ituah, Prince Pastor Ituah Ighodalo. I've never seen. You are always smiling. You disarm people with your smile, with your candor, with your warmth, the way you greet people. I have never seen you angry for anything. Even when you lost your darling wife, the way you were so matured about it that we should just celebrate her, I was really touched. Heavens will continue to be with you. Heavens will continue to glorify you, honor you, and see you through. I want all of you to please help me stand up. I want to sing happy birthday song for my bear uncle. Stand up. I will only give that honor to our mother. It will be left for our mom to stand up, number one female in Lagos State, or else we are all in trouble. Her Excellency, will you join us to stand up? Okay. No, she can go back to sit down. She can go back and sit down. On this note, 1, 2, 3, go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you today. May the good Lord bless you. For he is a jolly good prince. It's not a fellow, it's a prince. For he is a jolly good prince. For he is a jolly good prince. For he is a jolly good prince. Hey, so let me drag it. Prince. And so say all of us, hooray! And so say all of us, hooray! And so say all of us, hooray! For he is a jolly good prince. For he is a jolly good prince. For he is a jolly good prince. And so say all of us. A beautiful round of applause for Pastor Prince Ituah Ighodalo. God bless you, Uncle. God bless you. Congratulations.
Pastor, please come forward. Excellency First Lady, please come forward. Let's take some pictures with Kabiesi. Please clear the way for the First Lady. Please clear the way. Olori, please. Auntie Tolu, please come forward. Uncle Aswe, please come forward to join this picture. Photographers, can we wrap this up? We'd like Her Excellency the First Lady, since she's already up on the stage, to please give her goodwill message. So photographers, can we wrap this up very quickly? Okay, I'm sorry. Today we are cutting the cake. Where is the cake? Can we please take our seats for the First Lady's comments? No, please stay on the stage. The rest of us, please. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to invite once again to give her goodwill message to our own celebrant, Her Excellency the First Lady of Lagos State, Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. Please put your hands together for Her Excellency.
Thank you very much. A beautiful afternoon to each and everyone present here today to celebrate our pastor, Pastor Ituah Ighodalo, the senior pastor of Trinity House. Happy birthday, sir. God bless you. And congratulations also on the is it award or accolades that the KBSA has just given you? PPI. The Imperial Majesty Oba Adeyeye Enitan Oguwusi Ojaja II and his amiable wife, the Ooni of Ife. Olori, nice meeting you. Thank you for coming all the way back from Brazil, because we were seeing you in the newspapers, on TV. Thank you for being our ambassador over there. God bless you, sir. KBSU. The special guest, I don't know if he's still around, His Excellency, the name, I don't want to make mistake, Chadral Kane, yes, the Consular General of India, Lagos. Let me be careful there so I don't say the wrong name. Distinguished chairman of the occasion, I learned he came in virtually before I came in. His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, CON. The keynote speaker, Professor Akin Oyebode. I was able to get some precepts from what you said, although I came in a little bit early, quote unquote, when you were giving your keynote address. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen here present, Ituah and the Akintunde families present here, members of Committee of Wives of Lagos State officials here present, distinguished invited guests, our discussants, we learned a lot from your presentation, gentlemen of the press, and so many distinguished ladies and gentlemen, like I had earlier said. So much has been said here. I want you to know, Pastor Ituah, that the governor of Lagos State, your friend, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, is very much aware of my presence here. As I was telling him this morning, he just came back, sometime last night, and I was like, I'm rushing down to Pastor Ituah's 62nd birthday. I said, very interesting. You're dressed up. Well done. Pastor Ituah, honestly, it gives us so much joy to be here today to celebrate with you on your birthday, your 62nd birthday. You have, in a different way, been celebrating this birthday for the past 3 years. I learned this is the third leadership colloquium that we're having. Not only do you celebrate the birthday with family and friends, but you also have added a twist to it. It's a time when we have thought-provoking issues being discussed on how we can move forward in Nigeria as a whole. The theme this year, quite different from the ones that you normally have been given. I'm trying to remember the theme. Leadership, radical, what's the theme again, sorry? Leadership imperative for radical growth and transformation. Is really apt at this time, knowing fully well that we'll be having a new government coming in. But first of all, I want to remind everyone that Pastor Ituah is a Lagosian. And then after that, you are a Nigerian. I know Kabiyesi was trying to tell us the history of, you're from Ishon and everything, but you are a Lagosian and you are a Nigerian. So that's the most important to me. Another attribute and something that we notice about Pastor Ituah is that he is a man passionate about God. He is God's general. He's very much in tune, involved, committed. Everything Kabiyesi said about him is true. He takes your problem like his own. Your ups, your downs, he's there for you. And God has always been there for you, sir, during your own ups and down periods. I greet Mommy, my sister's mom. I didn't recognize you in time when you were passing. I greet you, ma. A very big thank you for inviting me again to this colloquium. I have learned some things, and these messages will be passed back to Mr. Governor. If you don't mind, I'll just put my glasses on a little bit. From the discussants, there was so much to take away from their discussion. I like what Barrister Adetui talked about. And everything, when I capture it, is police is your friend at the end of the day. Not minding that a former commissioner of police has served us 35 years meritoriously, but he's still there for us and still fighting for policemen, despite his retirement. Retired but not tired. Very proud of you, sir. He's so passionate about them. He wants improvement. He tells us the history during his time in 1978, and supported by Professor Oyebode, telling us the story on confab. You know, it is true, most of us have forgotten, but we remember then the story and how you people were laboring so much to ensure that we have a better Nigeria. Thank you for reminding us about that. And again, thank you, Pastor Ituah, for inviting me for this program. This is your birthday, celebrating a special way, having the opportunity to discuss about improving Nigeria. Again, Ituah is a Nigerian. Mr. Oloja, if I'm right, or Professor, about the civil service reform. Very, very important. I myself have wondered why we still have so much bureaucracy, you know, so many bottlenecks, unnecessary ones, despite the fact that we've gone to school, you know, passed through Professor Henrietta, and still practicing the things like those old days. I keep on wondering in my head what's happening. Not minding that, yes, God has put us in Nigeria for a purpose, like she said. Yes. So I'm wondering, why am I First Lady? There must be a purpose for that. Why am I here at Pastor Ituah's celebration? I'm supposed to come and eat jollof rice and pop champagne, but that's not it. It's a different way. He wants us to discuss, put heads together, and come out with something better going forward. That is unique. And so for you to mention that we should look at the civil service reforms, as Esther, sir, I will tell the king. My sister, I love that part, Akintelo, about the role of citizens. Honestly, we do have a role. A lot of people keep on blaming the leader. What about the citizens themselves? What happened to the orientation? What happened to this self-esteem? I mean, it was there in the past. You mentioned all the years. We lived with the different tribes. There was no problem. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And then what happened in the 2000 and up? So we need to go back and reorientate our citizens. Very, very important. Even if you have a very good leader and the citizens are fixed in their ways, we're in trouble. So those points, we need to look at it again. People need to be involved in the process. The campaign, in the past few weeks, we learned so much. We realized that we're very far away from the grassroots people. We need to be involved to reorientate them. And that's one thing I learned during this campaign period. Professor Henrietta, nice meeting you again after a long time. And I like you mentioned about us decolonizing our educational system. Very, very important. We need to look at that area too. We need to, like in council will say, learn, unlearn, and relearn. Our moderator had said, reset, recalibrate, and reconstruct. You see, Pastor Ituah, I've learned so much here, and I have to take away all these. And then my Prof Erega, the national philosophy we need to put in place. I will take note of that. Review our constitution. We're still working with the 1960 constitution. Yoruba Ronu. There's so much that we've gained from here. But I just want to remember that we're here to celebrate PPI. And PPI is reminding us that he has always put God first in everything that he does. He's reminding us of what Psalm 90 verse 12 says. To number our days aright, so we can apply our heart unto wisdom. Gathering us here today to celebrate you with this colloquium, the third of its kind, to trigger thoughts and provoke discussion, is very apt in the growth and transformation of our country. Right people for right leadership. Reminding us again, teaching us that we should seek first the kingdom of God, and all other things shall be added unto it. Whatever is going to make Nigeria go forward, we need to put God first. If we have been praying 6 times a day, I think we need to increase it to 24 times so that we can move forward and overhaul and remove all these obstacles that we're having. Stagnancy in our constitution, stagnancy in our civil service reforms, stagnancy in the citizens' orientation programs. And above all, please involve the women. The women. Very important. Please involve the women. Again, we are celebrating Pastor Ituah. I rest my case. God bless you, sir. May God continue to fill your cup with fresh anointing. Amen. May it overflow. May you continue to be a source of blessing and joy to all of us here and internationally too. Goodness and mercy shall follow you, sir, all the days of your life. God bless you.
Put your hands together, First Lady. First Lady, may I ask that you just move straight to the cake. Pastor Ituah, Kabiesi, please come forward. And where is our celebrant? Pastor? I'm sorry? Panelists, please join in the cake cutting. Kabiesi. Auntie Tolu. Uncle Aswe. Okay. Come. Chief Mrs. Onilola Ajayi, please come forward. The representative of His Excellency, Peter Obi, Prince Ighodalo'S. Prince, please come forward. Wazwe, you have been dragged here. Prince, please join us. Okay. Excellent. Mr. Gbadebo Roads Driver, please join us. Thank you very much. Pastor Nia Kenzwa, please come. You are going to superintend the cake cutting. Pastor Kenzwa, no dodging. No, please come, sir. Photographers, Pastor, please put your hands on the cake. You go up, don't worry, I'll supervise. All right. Pastor, please stretch forth your hands towards the cake. Ladies and gentlemen, on the count of 3, I'm going to count from 3 down to 1. 3, 2, 1. PPI. Can we have another one? PPI. Put your hands together. Celebrating God's own general. Don't stop clapping, don't stop clapping, don't stop clapping. We truly, truly thank God for this special gift. So, Pastor, since we have you and all these good people around you, please give your own remarks.
Amen. Praise the name of the Lord. The prince wants to speak. PPI. I am thankful for today. It is exactly 2 years, 9 months, and 21 days that Ibidunni left me. But I'm thankful that even though she's not here physically, her spirit, her legacy, her love is all around me and the children. So my first thanks goes to my mother-in-law for producing for me such a wonderful, exceptional, and outstanding wife and mother to my children. And of course, my brother-in-law, my 2 brothers-in-law, Dira and Dara, I thank you all very much. My second thanks goes to my sister, Tolua Lokwe, and my brother, Aswerime, and Ifeanyiwa, my wife, Aswe's wife, for being such a deep and sincere pillar of support. I want to thank my 2 children, Unua Kemoyi and Eizenan, in absentia. Unua Kemoyi is in school, Eizena is causing trouble at home. But lion not the born goat. So when he causes trouble, I say, leave him, let him cause trouble. You don't know half the story of what his father used to do. A lot of people say Ituah is quiet, Ituah is this. People like Chiki Oga who know Ituah. But that's okay. I thank God for everything. I want to thank my nephew. Says sometimes I don't even know how to address him. The great Oni of Ife. And his lovely Olori for honoring me this day and for the love that we share, very deep. My mother almost lost her life to make sure that the GSC family got its rightful place in the history of Ife. Because she was a leading princess and the leading head of the GSC arm of the family at that time. It was supposed to be our turn before Shijuade. And somehow, the politics of that time made Shijuade the Oni. So my mother took Shijuade to court and took him in court and kept him in court for several years. Until one day, what the Oni was saying about Bayo, you have to be careful because he can make Bayo disappear. One day she was going to Ife for a court case and she had an accident. So she knew that there were powers on that road. So she came back and said, well, it's all right. She will live to fight another day. But one thing she established was that there was a court ruling that once the throne was vacant, it had to go to GSC family. And when the throne became vacant, our beloved Oni there was no contest from the other families. It was just a contest within the GSC family. And like he rightly said, as soon as that announcement came that the old Oni had passed, I was one of the first places he came to let me know that he was going to put himself up for that position. And from that day, I began to pray for him and did all I could as against my own direct nephew, who also wanted to become Oni. He was based in London. He's an Adiri. And he called me, he said he wanted to become Oni. I said, yeah, he ran ahead of you. Because he's a good politician. So I was committed to him. And we did all that we could. And I'm glad that today he is His Imperial Majesty, the Oni of Ife, to the glory of God and to the benefit of mankind. So we're going to work together to do our best for Ife, for Osun State, for Nigeria, for the whole world as best as we can. And Ondo State, okay, I'm also a quarter Ondo, because Okegbo, where my mother's ancestors settled in, happened to now fall into Ondo State, but originally they were all from Ife. They were warriors from Ife. So in fact, he had to come to Okegbo to sit and look at the family home before he now went back to Ife to ascend the throne. That is the tradition of our place. So maybe one day Zenan will be Oni of Ife. It is still possible. So I thank you, my beloved nephew and Oni of Ife. May the throne be beautiful for you. May the crown be permanent on your head and the slippers firm on your feet. May all these Oloris give you joy and happiness. I think you get eye like your uncle. You like fine thing. This one resembles Ibidun small. We thank God for it. Pastor or no pastor, pastor still get eye. Let somebody shout a loud hallelujah. I want to thank Her Excellency. Please give her a round of applause for me. The First Lady of Lagos State and the wife of my brother, His Excellency Jide Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of Lagos State, by the grace of God. I want to thank him publicly for his support. When I lost Ibidun, he was there. When I needed deep help, he supported me. And I want to make it known publicly that he went out of his way to give me significant support. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you for your special love for me. I know you love me especially somehow. You won't tell your husband, but I know you. Because she's been quietly supportive. And when people in Lagos State had forgotten about me, she remembered me. And she knows what I'm talking about. And I want to thank you for that. And also for coming today to be here on this day and being here against whatever else you had to do. I want to invite you on Sunday to be here also. There will be a little Thanksgiving service, and all of us to please be here for the Thanksgiving service on Sunday. I want to thank Jeremiah Akinsele. Please give him a round of applause. Jeremiah is another guy who loves me very much. I don't know what I did to deserve his love, but ever since I met him, I don't even know how we met, he has supported me greatly. This is the second time he's trying to make my life public through these colloquiums. The first time was when my mother died, about 18 years ago. Jeremiah came and said we must have a colloquium in her honor at the Yaba Tech, and he single-handedly organized it. Again, when I turned 60, he came up with the idea again and said he must have a colloquium to celebrate my life. I think he was trying to comfort me on the loss of Ibidun. I think that was what was behind his mind. We never discussed it, but he went out of his way to put it together. We did the first one by Zoom, the second we did here, and this is the third one. Jerry, I appreciate you. And one day when he realized that I was a bit broke, he put me on the board of a company, an Indian company. So that's why there's so many Indians all over. So Jerry, I thank you very, very much. Professor Oyebode, I thank you so much for coming. Your son Aki has been very kind to me in Ekiti State. I want to thank you for bringing up a good son. and for that very great speech that you made. My Aburo, Gwadebo Rosevival, thank you very much for coming also. God will strengthen you. And your wife? Yes. How are you, my dear? God bless you. Good to see you. I think the deputy governor's candidate, Princess Oyefusi, was also here. I thank you all very much. Thank you so much for being here at the time. I want to thank all our panelists. They've done very, very well. My MD from Falcon, thank you so much. You have to pay us more dividends, yeah? Thank you for being here. Mr. Onoja, thank you so much. Olokwa, thank you so much. We will make sure that you improve the conditions of service for the military. Henrietta, thank you. Henrietta, I must also introduce, before my wife died, she was doing a postgraduate diploma at LBS. Henrietta was one of those that supervised her. They fell in love, and she decided to make sure we gave Ibidun that degree, and she convinced me to sponsor a seat, 5 million naira, which I'm still reading about, but we paid the 5 million to LBS, but she's been a great support. Henrietta, thank you very much, and that was really well spoken. My brother also, my Aburo, the Oniru of Iru land, Bolahon Lawal, who I knew since he was ADC to the president-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I want to thank you for sending Prince Olanrewaju Ajasa here to represent you. Thank you for being there all the time. And also Prince Ighodalo'S, who is representing my friend and my brother, the candidate of Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, who would really have wanted to be here himself. In fact, he was one of the first phone calls that I got this morning wishing me well and telling me that Prince Ike will be here to represent him. I think he was a bit shocked to realize that I was older than him, though. But we had a very good conversation. I want to thank Mr. Peter Obi, first of all, for running a grand race, and secondly, for being my friend and sending Prince Ike here. Please, let's give him a round of applause. A lot of my people are here. Shego Motosho, who succeeded me in Christchurch. I don't want to go naming names, Bimbo Cardoso. There's so many people who are here, and the Lord will thank you of himself. My chairman at ACC is also here. Prince Pastor Olumide, is that not so? Mr. Kunle Olumide, thank you all very much. I don't usually have parties at my birthday. The last party I had was when I was 21, and that party ended very well because I was completely drunk. And I think that since that time, I've not really had any birthday party. I was going to celebrate my 60th and do a last dance for everybody, but Ibiduni was out here, so I couldn't quite celebrate it. And therefore, I rather do things that have meaning, things that will contribute to society, things that will develop Nigeria. And this is why this colloquium is so appropriate for me. And I'm grateful that Jerry was able to put it together for me. I thank the Lord Almighty. On Saturday, we'll have a fun day here just to celebrate the children. After that, I'm going to mark minimum prison for ladies to preach to them, to celebrate my birthday with them. Every year I go to the prisons to celebrate my birthday. Last Sunday, I was at Ituah, the Lagos State Hospital at Ituah, to give gifts to the children there and their mothers on behalf of Ibiduni, which was her joy, and myself for my birthday. These are the things I do for my birthday. And then, of course, on Sunday, there'll be a Thanksgiving service here, after which everybody who doesn't have food around this community will be fed. Those are the things that give me joy and give meaning to my life. You know, I just want you all to please support me. When I turned 60, we did the library for King's College. I did it as best as I could. I still have a few things to do there. We're still trying to raise about 5 or 6 million naira to complete the work. Whoever can support me should please do so. Please also support me with the Ibiduni's Foundation, where we try to give IVFs to people who can't conceive. That was her passion. We did a 40 by 40 for her after she died. We now do an average of between 10 and 20 couples a year. Please support us in that. We have a foundation for scholarships for children who can't pay their school fees. we need support. We're also trying to start a halfway house for people who leave the prison and don't know where to go to. Please support us. We're also trying to have a home for the elderly who can't manage themselves anymore, but would like to go somewhere from time to time and live a normal life. Please support us. We are passionate about Nigeria being transformed. We're passionate about Nigeria being great again. We're passionate about Nigeria getting to where it's going to go to. And we realize that it's not just the leadership that's the problem, it's the average Nigerian. Our greed, our selfishness, our depending only on ourselves for whatever we want. And we realize that the only way to really transform Nigeria is to reorientate the average Nigerian. And that's what the African Leadership Group that I am president of is driving at. How do we reorientate the average Nigerian so that from there we can get great leaders that will transform this nation? You know, somebody said, I think it was Henrietta that said, we begin to think that everything foreign is the best. Let me tell her that it was a deliberate policy by the British. A man called Lord Macaulay in 1854 made a statement that the African is well organized, the African is meticulous, the African is ethical, the African is brilliant and well trained. The only way by which we can fully conquer them is to make them believe that everything foreign is superior and everything traditional is inferior. And they went deliberately to make us believe that everything foreign was superior, and they conquered our minds. That is why when my nephew said he wanted to become Oni of Ife, I said, I will back you up, so that you can lift up that throne and let them know that everything African is superior to everything foreign. We need to change and reorientate our minds. My sister is going to soon take 1 or 2 chieftaincy titles. I will support her also, so that we can change. When my friend Gandhi said he was going to leave the pulpit and become the Shongo of Ogumosho, I said I will support him also, so that they will know that it is possible to run a good leadership process even from the traditional ways, and that everything traditional is not necessarily fetish or juju or cultic. It's not. My brother here is a Christian. Whether he likes it or not, he's a Christian. And he's not going to make Bayo disappear. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you for being here. And I love you all very much, and I appreciate you for everything. I cannot thank you enough. On behalf of Unwa Kemoyi, Hazenan, and myself, and Ibiduni, always with us, we thank you.
Everybody say PPI. Everybody say PPI.
PPI.
And one more time, PPI.
PPI.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. We want to give a few gifts very quickly to our distinguished guests before they go, and then we can bring the matter to a close. I need to recognize my Egbon Toyin Komalafe, who taught me everything good and bad in Ibadan. Thank you. Our gifts very quickly before people go, and then Olu or whoever will do a quick vote of thanks, and then we can close the afternoon. As for Rima, thank you very much. My mother-in-law, Chief Mrs. Monilola Ajayi, I really love and appreciate you. Thank you so much. My cousin Osage, thank you for showing up. I know you don't go out much, but thank you for coming. Auntie Aggie, thank you so much. I'm always happy to see you. And all the council ladies, thank you so much. Amen. Okay. Professor Akinyoyebode, please accept from us this little token of our love and appreciation. Thank you so, so much. Okay. Yes. I need to thank my chairman, Robert Odiachi, and my partner, Laddie Smith. They allow me to be myself, and they are happy that they have a pastor in their midst. So when Robert misbehaves, I pray for him. When Laddie doesn't behave well, I beg God for him. Please help me to thank my partners in SIO, Mr. Robert Odiachi and Mr. Laddie Smith. Mr. Martin Sonoja, Thank you so much. Thank you for that brilliance. Thank you. Truly grateful. Who else? Mr. Perekuda Erega, thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Ituah, CP. Jumoke Akintelo. Jumoke Akintelo. MS Sugar.
The representative of Senator Mrs. Nenadi Usman, please come forward. Thank you.
Congrats. Thank you. Representative of Senator Nenadi Usman, please. Robert. Dr. Alex Bankole. Dr. Alex Bankole, thank you so much for all the work that you did to make sure that my nephew came here. Dr. Alex Bankole, you're a good man. You're a good man. You're a good man. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Amaka of Fobike is here representing Senator Nenadi Usman.
Bayo Rotimi, who is gone? Okay. Are you the one representing Senator Nenadi? Okay. Okay. Representing Senator Nenadi Usman, Dr. Amaka of Fobike, PhD. Thank you. My bro Sheon Fakoya, come up. Who else? Temi Ayo. Hey, thank you. Phenomenal. Thank you for that great job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Last time we made provision for him.
Okay. Her Excellency, the First Lady of Lagos State, please. We have a big, huge present for you. We can't bring it right in here, but we will send it to the government house. Thank you so much. We're really, really grateful. Thank you. Please greet my brother for me. Tell him I love him very much and I appreciate him. Okay.
Dr. Tomi Oyeshola, please come forward to read the communique. Thank you. Dr. Tomi Oyeshola.
Okay, Bayo, you haven't disappeared. I thought you were disappearing. Thank you. Thank you.
Exactly.
Falcon. Yes. Hey, Professor. My another bro, Professor Crown University, the Ojaja University, the professor of our university, Ojaja University, that belongs to the Oni of Ife, Ojaja University. Thank you so much. Okay, Tommy, they communicate very quickly, and then we will close. Mrs. Ore Williams, thank you so much.
Just wait.
As pleasantries and pictures are going on, we'll continue with the program. Dr. Tommy will take the communique. Thank you very much.
Okay, very quickly, I must say that we've had great and insightful discussions here at the third Nigerian Leadership Colloquium in honor of Pastor Ituah Ighodalo. What we yearn for, which centers on leadership, then this is a time to really identify the right leadership towards the goal of a better and greater Nigeria. The second thing is that leadership is not a person, but a character trait. So more or less, that we need to ensure the rule of law. So the action points, just four. The first one is a resuscitation of the Nigerian civil service is needed for us to get back on track. There is a collapse of the civil service that has led to a deterioration of the societal structure. So basically what we need to have is civil service reforms. So while Nigeria is not a perfect union, we need to refocus on where and when we started getting it all wrong. And then we need to get back to the basics of putting things right again. Generally, we need a change of attitude of the polity, and we need to engender the growth and development that we desire. And finally, we need a national philosophy to guide how we behave and how we get things done.
We need meritocracy and pragmatism, and we need honest people, people with integrity. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for Dr. Tommy, please. A round of applause for Dr. Tommy. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As with all great events, this event has come to an end. I would like to invite Pastor Niyi Akenzwa for the closing prayer. Pastor Niyi Akenzwa for the closing prayer. Thank you very much, sir.
Hello, shall we pray? Ladies and gentlemen, please, shall we pray? No movement, please. We want to pray. No movement, please. We need to pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for such a glorious day to celebrate your son and your servant. We say thank you. We thank you, Lord, for taking control. We thank you for all that we have heard. We thank you because you are at work in this country, and we believe that Nigeria will be great again. Bless your son, O Lord, and make him a blessing. Continue to be with him. The great things that were said about him, O God, will never depart from him. It shall be a blessing always. Lay your mighty hands of blessings and favor upon him, O God. Order his steps all the days of his life, and let your name be glorified. As many as have come here today, and even those who have left, Father, Lord, bless them, be with them. And as we leave this auditorium, go ahead of us, protect us, guide and guard us, O God. In Jesus Christ's mighty name, we have prayed. Amen. God bless.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Until next year, our PPI is committed to the success of Nigeria. Thank you, everyone.